All right, getting ready for a passport officer interview. That's exciting. We got some great RoleCatcher resources to help you figure out this whole process.
It really is a role that people don't always fully understand.
Yeah.
We hear passport officer and think, oh, someone who stamps documents.
Right.
But it's so much more than that, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about helping people travel. You're a guardian of national security.
Oh, wow.
Every interaction means verifying identities, looking at documents, trying to spot fakes, and upholding all those international regulations. It's pretty intense.
It does add like a whole other layer of like, I don't know, complexity and intrigue, right?
Absolutely.
It sounds like this job needs you to be super detail-oriented, have a sharp eye, and really know those international travel regulations inside and out.
Yes, exactly.
But before we jump into like all the interview prep stuff,
Sure.
can we just step back and like paint a clear picture of what the role actually is?
Absolutely. So using RoleCatcher's career guide, we see that a passport officer's responsibilities go way beyond just issuing passports.
Okay.
They handle a bunch of different travel documents,
Oh,
certificates of identity, refugee travel documents, things like that. And each of those documents comes with its own set of rules and security measures.
so it's not just like one size fits all.
Not at all.
Okay.
Each one's got its own little quirks.
Gotcha. So you're dealing with people from all kinds of backgrounds. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's going somewhere.
That's right.
I bet there's a huge human element to this work.
Oh, absolutely. And it's not just about the people either. You're working with cutting-edge technology, too.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Iris scans, facial recognition software, all kinds of databases designed to spot fake documents.
Oh, wow.
You're right there on the front lines of all that,
Okay.
making sure the passport system stays secure.
So we've established that this role has many sides and the stakes are high. But what about the daily grind?
Yeah.
What's the work environment actually like for a passport officer?
Well, it's mainly office-based,
Okay.
but it's not boring at all. Imagine a constant flow of applicants, each with their own stack of paperwork and travel plans.
Oh, wow.
You're interacting with people from all over the world, dealing with different cultures,
Yeah.
and sometimes you even have to calm things down when people get frustrated.
So it sounds like you've got to be patient, a good communicator, and able to stay calm under pressure.
You got it. Especially during those busy travel seasons.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
And don't forget all the meticulous record keeping, the strict regulations. You're dealing with sensitive information. It's a big responsibility.
So a dynamic role that requires a specific set of skills and a strong sense of responsibility.
You got it.
Okay, well, let's get to the core of this deep dive and figure out how to ace that interview.
Okay, sounds good.
Now, I know RoleCatcher's AI can be a big help throughout this whole process.
Oh, absolutely.
You can look at job descriptions, figure out exactly what skills the employers are looking for,
Right.
and it can help you tailor your resume, highlight relevant experience, and even practice answers to common interview questions.
With personalized feedback. Yeah, it's great.
That's pretty amazing. It's like having like a virtual coach in your corner every step of the way.
That's a good way to put it.
But let's start with the basics. What are some of the most common questions you might hear in a passport officer interview?
Okay, so one question that almost always pops up is, what inspired you to pursue a career as a passport officer?
Sorry.
It seems simple, but interviewers are digging deeper than, I need a job.
Right, right.
They want to know what motivates you, why you're interested in public service, and what specifically draws you to this kind of work.
So it's not enough to just say you like to travel.
No, not really.
You have to be able to explain what draws you to the role itself. The responsibility, the attention to detail, maybe the whole national security aspect.
Exactly. This is your chance to show off any relevant experience or skills that fit the job. Maybe you've volunteered somewhere that needed really careful record keeping.
Oh.
Or maybe you have a background in customer service where you learn to communicate well and solve problems.
And this is where RoleCatcher's AI can really come in handy.
Oh, for sure.
It can analyze the language in the job description and suggest ways to kind of weave those keywords into your response. Show them you've done your research and that you're a perfect fit.
Absolutely. For example, if the job description emphasizes attention to detail and security protocols, you could talk about how you're really good at spotting errors in documents or how you always make sure to follow established procedures.
That's a great tip. Okay, let's move on to another common question. How do you ensure you follow all guidelines and regulations while issuing passports? This sounds like a question to test your knowledge and your commitment to accuracy.
It's all about showing them you're meticulous and you understand how important those regulations are. You could talk about specific training you've had, procedures you followed in past jobs that required you to be really strict about the rules,
Okay.
or even just how you personally value accuracy in everything you do.
Right. So instead of just saying, I'm a rule follower,
Exactly.
you're giving specific examples to prove it. And a possible follow-up question here could be, tell me about a time you had to follow a complicated set of rules under pressure.
Oh, yeah, they love that one.
Yeah.
They want to see how you handle stress while staying accurate and composed.
Yeah.
Think of a time when you had to juggle a bunch of tasks, meet tight deadlines, or deal with a really tough situation while sticking to the rules.
And practicing your answer with RoleCatcher's AI beforehand could be a game changer.
It could be.
It might even suggest specific examples from your past that you wouldn't remember on the spot.
It's like having a brainstorming buddy who knows exactly what the interviewers are looking for
Yeah.
and can help you present your skills in the best possible light.
Okay, we've covered two pretty important questions. What's next?
Let's tackle one that often trips people up. How do you handle a situation where an applicant's documents are incomplete or incorrect?
Ooh, yeah.
This one goes beyond just knowing the rules. It's about how you solve problems, your communication style, and your ability to stay calm and professional when things get frustrating.
It's a test of your diplomacy, too,
Yeah,
right?
oh, absolutely.
You're dealing with someone who's probably already stressed and just wants their passport.
Exactly. The interviewer wants to see how you handle those tricky conversations while still being empathetic and focused on finding a solution. You need to show them that you can calmly explain the problem, guide the applicant towards fixing it, and de-escalate any tension.
So what kind of answer would really impress them here?
Well, instead of just saying, I'd tell them to go get the right documents, walk them through your process. You could say something like, I'd start by calmly explaining the problem and what's required. Then I'd help them figure out how to get the necessary documents, maybe even offer other solutions if possible. My goal would be to make sure they understand the process, feel supported, and leave knowing what to do next.
That's a much stronger answer. It shows you can think critically, communicate effectively, and provide excellent customer service even when things are tough. And, again, RoleCatcher's AI could help you personalize that response.
Could.
Suggest ways to highlight your skills in active listening, conflict resolution, or even your knowledge of specific passport regulations.
It's all about showcasing your ability to handle those nuanced interactions while staying professional and helpful.
All right, we've covered 3 key questions. I'm already feeling more prepared.
Great.
What else should our listeners be ready for?
Okay, let's talk about managing your workload. Interviewers will often ask, how do you manage and prioritize your workload as a passport officer? They want to know that you're organized, efficient, and able to juggle multiple tasks, especially during those busy travel periods.
So it's not enough to just say, I'm good at multitasking. You need to give them real examples of how you stay organized and your strategies for getting things done.
Exactly. Talk about the tools you use to stay on top of things like calendars, to-do lists, or specific software. Mention techniques you've used to prioritize tasks, maybe using a system like urgency versus importance.
So it's not just about handling a lot of work,
Right.
but about doing it efficiently
Mm-hmm.
and without making mistakes.
Exactly. And remember, a potential follow-up question could be, can you give me an example of a time you had to juggle multiple deadlines? How did you make sure everything was finished on time and to the right standard?
This is where having those specific stories ready to go can really make your answers pop.
It's all about preparation. Think about situations in your past where you had to manage competing priorities, meet tight deadlines, or deal with a really challenging workload. Be ready to walk the interviewer through what you did and highlight the positive outcomes.
And I bet RoleCatcher's AI can help you pick those relevant examples from your work history and tailor them to fit the specific demands of this passport officer role.
Oh, for sure. It can look at the job description and pinpoint the skills they're truly looking for. It helps you showcase your most relevant experiences and accomplishments.
This is so helpful. I'm starting to see how RoleCatcher can really give you a leg up in these interviews. What other questions should we cover?
Let's talk about one of the toughest parts of this job,
Yeah.
dealing with difficult customers.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Interviewers often ask, how do you handle a situation where an applicant gets upset or confrontational?
Okay.
This question is designed to gauge your emotional intelligence, your ability to calm things down, and your commitment to providing excellent customer service even under pressure.
So it's about staying calm and professional, even when someone's taking their frustration out on you. That's not easy.
No, it's definitely not. But it's a crucial skill for a passport officer. When you answer this question, emphasize your ability to stay calm under pressure and focus on finding a positive resolution. You could mention techniques you use to de-escalate conflict, like active listening, acknowledging the applicant's frustration, and offering alternative solutions.
I imagine a follow-up question might be, tell me about a time you had to deal with a really difficult customer. What happened and how did you resolve it?
Very likely, having a specific story ready to go can really make your answer stand out and showcase your ability to handle those tricky interpersonal dynamics. Think back to a time when you successfully navigated a tough customer interaction. What strategies did you use to calm things down and reach a positive outcome?
And of course, RoleCatcher's AI can help you choose the most impactful example from your past and even suggest ways to highlight the skills that are most relevant to the passport officer role.
It's all about aligning your responses with what the employer values.
Okay, we've covered some pretty heavy stuff.
We have.
I'm feeling a lot more prepared.
Good.
But what else should our listeners be ready to talk about?
Let's talk about how important it is to stay up to date in this field. It's always changing.
Right.
Interviewers will want to know, how do you stay current with changes in regulations and guidelines related to passport issuance?
Okay.
This shows them you're dedicated to continuous learning and committed to accuracy and security.
So it's not enough to just say, I'll read the memos.
Right.
You need to show that you're proactive about staying informed.
Exactly. Talk about specific resources you use to stay current, like government websites, professional journals, industry newsletters. You can also talk about any training courses or workshops you've attended to improve your skills.
I bet a follow-up question could
Yeah.
be, tell me about a recent change in passport regulations that you had to learn about. How did you go about understanding the new rules and applying them in your work?
They might ask that, yeah. Having a specific example ready to share will impress the interviewer and show them you can adapt to new information and procedures. Think about a time when you successfully implemented a new regulation or changed your workflow to accommodate a policy change.
Okay, we've covered a lot of in-depth questions, and I'm feeling much more prepared. But I have a feeling we're just getting started.
We are. There's a lot to cover.
What else should our listeners be ready to discuss?
Let's talk about fairness and respect, which are super important in this role.
Okay.
Interviewers will often ask, how do you ensure that all applicants are treated fairly and respectfully during the passport application process?
Right.
It's all about showcasing your commitment to great customer service and making sure everyone has a positive experience, no matter who they are or what their situation is.
So it's about treating each applicant with respect, being patient, and being understanding,
Yes.
even when you're super busy or dealing with someone who's difficult.
Exactly. You could mention specific things you do to ensure fairness, like using clear and simple language when explaining procedures, actively listening to each applicant's concerns, and offering extra help to those who might need it.
A good follow-up question might be, can you describe a time when you had to go above and beyond to help an applicant who was struggling?
Oh, they love those real-life examples. Having a good story ready to go will really show that you're committed to exceptional customer service. Think about a time when you went the extra mile to help someone, solved a tricky situation with empathy, or turned a potentially negative experience into a positive one.
And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can analyze the job description and suggest specific keywords related to customer service, diversity, or inclusion that you can subtly weave into your answer.
It's all about showing them that you align with their values and priorities.
Okay, we've covered so much ground. I'm starting to feel much more confident about tackling these passport officer interviews.
That's great to hear.
What other essential areas should we touch on?
Let's talk about. Welcome back to our deep dive into passport officer interviews. We've gone over some really important questions, but we're not done yet. Ready for some more challenging stuff?
You bet. I'm all ears. What else should we be prepared for?
All right, let's talk about data security and confidentiality. This is a big deal in this role, and they'll definitely want to know how you handle it. They might ask, how do you ensure the security and confidentiality of applicant information?
Yeah, okay.
It's all about making sure that sensitive data stays protected throughout the whole application process.
That's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
Your answer has to show that you take it seriously. It's not enough to just say, I'll keep things confidential.
Right. You've got to show them, the protocols and procedures.
Okay.
Talk about your understanding of data protection, like password security, how you store physical documents, how you get rid of confidential information properly, and the consequences if you mess up. You could even mention any specific technologies or software they use to keep data safe in the passport system.
Right, showing them you've done your homework.
Exactly.
They might also ask, can you describe a situation where you had to handle confidential information very carefully? What steps did you take?
Oh, for sure. They love those real-life examples. Be ready to share a story from a previous job where you successfully managed sensitive information. Show them you understand data security in practice, not just in theory.
This is where RoleCatcher's AI can be a lifesaver, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It can look at the job description and point out any specific security protocols or technologies the employer mentioned.
Okay.
Then you can tailor your answer to show you know about their systems.
So you're not just talking about data security in general, you're talking about their data security.
Precisely. It shows you're prepared and detail-oriented. Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about teamwork and training. They often ask, how do you make sure all staff members are trained on the latest regulations and guidelines?
Ah, so it's about making sure everyone is on the same page and up to date.
You got it. This question is about leadership and how you manage and develop a team. You could talk about different training methods you've used in the past, like workshops, online courses, or mentoring programs.
Okay.
Highlight your ability to figure out what training people need, create good materials, and track their progress.
I can see them asking a follow-up question like, describe a time you had to train someone new on a complicated procedure. How did you make sure they understood it and could do it right?
Exactly. Be ready with a good example. A good story can really show them you can communicate clearly, break down complex information, and train people effectively.
And again, RoleCatcher's AI can help you align your answer with the employer's priorities, right?
Definitely.
Huh?
It can find keywords about training, teamwork, or leadership in the job description.
Okay, good to know. So let's say you're looking at a passport application and you see something that doesn't match up. What do you do?
Ugh, this is a good one. They're testing your attention to detail, your knowledge of the rules, and your problem-solving skills. You need to show them you can spot red flags and handle these sensitive situations with professionalism and accuracy.
So what would you do? Walk us through it.
First, you lay out the specific steps you would take to double-check the information.
Okay.
Maybe you cross-reference databases, contact some authorities, or talk to the applicant again. The key is to show them you understand how important it is to verify everything and protect the integrity of the passport system. You could even mention those special security features on passports or the tech they use to spot fake documents. It all adds up to showing your commitment to security.
Another great place to use RoleCatcher's AI, right?
Oh, absolutely. The AI can pick out any specific security measures or technologies mentioned in the job description.
Okay.
That way you can tailor your answer to their specific systems. It shows you're prepared and you pay attention to details.
All right, so we've covered those tricky document discrepancies. What other tough situations might they throw at us to see how we handle the pressure of the job?
Let's talk about those crazy busy times, especially peak travel season when the applications are piling up.
Oh yeah, I bet that gets intense.
It does. They might ask, how do you manage stress and stay accurate when you have a ton of work and tight deadlines?
That's a question about your stamina, organization, and your ability to prioritize when things get hectic.
You've got it. They want to see that you can handle the heat without sacrificing quality or accuracy. Talk about how you manage stress. Maybe you take short breaks, practice mindfulness, or delegate tasks when you can.
Okay.
But also emphasize your ability to stay focused and accurate even when you're swamped.
So maybe mentioning specific strategies like to-do lists, time management tools, or breaking big projects into smaller chunks.
Exactly. And don't forget to stress that you're committed to providing great customer service even when it's crazy busy. After all, every interaction counts. They might even ask, can you describe a time when you had a huge workload but still met deadlines and kept things accurate?
Another one of those tell us a story situations.
Exactly. Having a good story ready to go really shows them you can thrive in that fast-paced environment. Think back to a time when you handled a super busy period at work. What did you do to stay organized, manage your time, and deliver high-quality work under pressure?
And RoleCatcher's AI can help you pick the best examples from your work history and even suggest ways to quantify your achievements, right?
You bet. Maybe mention the number of applications you processed or how often you met deadlines. It's about proving you can handle the demands of the job and get things done. Now let's talk about integrity. It's a core value for this role. They'll often ask questions to see how honest you are, how you make ethical decisions, and if you're committed to upholding the law. For example, they might ask, what would you do if you thought someone was trying to get a passport fraudulently?
Ooh, that's a tough one. What's the best way to handle that kind of question?
It's serious stuff. You need to make it clear that you'd report any suspicions to your supervisor or the proper authorities right away. Explain the steps you'd take to make sure there's a thorough investigation.
So showing them you have a zero-tolerance policy for that kind of thing.
Absolutely. You could even mention the legal consequences of passport fraud and your commitment to keeping the passport system honest. It's about showing them you won't compromise those standards no matter what. A good follow-up question might be, tell me about a time you had to make a tough choice based on your ethics.
Okay, so having another story ready would be helpful.
Exactly. It's a chance to really show your integrity. Talk about a time you faced an ethical dilemma at work. Walk them through your thought process and what happened in the end. It shows you're not afraid to do the right thing, even when it's hard. Now let's shift focus a little. What would you say if they asked, why are you interested in working for our agency specifically?
Ah, the classic why us question. That's where your research skills come in.
Exactly. Don't just say, it seems like a good place to work. Dig a little deeper. Learn about their mission, values, what they've achieved, even their work culture.
So impress them with your knowledge.
Right. Talk about their programs or initiatives that resonate with you. Highlight their reputation for excellence or your admiration for their dedication to public service. A common follow-up is what you know about our agency's history and its role in the community.
That's where RoleCatcher's database of employer information can be super helpful, right? Yeah.
It's a gold mine. No more last-minute scrambling for info online. RoleCatcher gives you a head start on understanding the agency and its culture. It's all about showing them you're not just applying to any job, you're genuinely interested in this job. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here. I'm feeling a lot more confident about those interview questions. Any final tips before we move on?
Let's talk about what happens when they ask, do you have any questions for us?
Ah, yes. That's not just a formality. It's your chance to show you're curious, engaged, and truly interested.
Okay.
And it's a chance for you to learn more to see if this job is a good fit. So what are some good questions to ask?
You could ask about the day-to-day work, the team dynamics, opportunities for training and development, or the agency's long-term goals. You can even ask the interviewer about their experience working there and what they enjoy the most.
Great suggestions. Asking thoughtful questions shows you're genuinely interested. Plus, you get valuable information to help you make a decision. And don't be afraid to jot down a few questions beforehand. It shows you're organized and prepared, which are great qualities for any job, especially this one.
That's really helpful. I'm feeling much more confident about those passport officer interviews.
Anything else we should cover?
Let's talk about practice. It's one thing to read through potential answers, but saying them out loud makes a big difference. Practice helps you feel more comfortable and confident during the real interview, so your personality and expertise can shine through. And don't forget, RoleCatcher's AI can give you feedback on your delivery, like your tone, pace, and even your body language.
So it's like a virtual mock interview.
Exactly. It helps you identify areas for improvement and fine-tune your performance before the big day. It's like having a personal coach right there with you, giving you guidance and feedback every step of the way. Wow, this has been an awesome session. We've really gone deep into those interview scenarios, talked about data security, teamwork, integrity, and even how to craft those insightful questions for the interviewer. I feel much more prepared for what's ahead.
That's great to hear. You're well on your way to mastering those interview skills and showing them your potential. But we're not quite done yet. Join us for part 3, where we'll talk about career progression in this field.
That's good.
We'll explore those different levels of responsibility, from entry-level passport officer all the way up to principal passport officer, and we'll uncover the skills and strategies you need to move up the ladder. We'll also take a closer look at RoleCatcher's AI and see how it can help you not just prepare for interviews, but navigate your entire career journey.
Awesome. Can't wait to learn more.
It's all about reaching your full potential. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We spent the last 2 parts really digging into what it means to be a passport officer and giving you the tools to nail that interview.
Absolutely.
But getting the job is just the first step, right?
Right. It's a big accomplishment, but it's just the beginning of a really exciting journey. And luckily, a RoleCatcher's Career Guide gives you a roadmap of how you can move up in your career, from entry level all the way to principal passport officer.
That's so helpful.
Yeah. And it even has profiles of people at each level, so you can really see yourself moving through the ranks.
That's awesome. So let's break it down. What exactly does an entry-level passport officer do?
Okay. So at this stage, you're laying the groundwork. You're gaining experience, learning those core skills. You might be assisting with all sorts of things,
Okay.
like providing passports and travel documents, keeping those records super accurate, verifying that documents are real, even helping with interviews and background checks.
There's a lot of learning the ropes, being precise, making sure everything is done right.
Yes, exactly.
Sounds like a great way to understand the whole process.
And you'll be getting those customer service skills honed too,
Mhm.
supporting applicants, helping them navigate all the paperwork.
Right, because it's not just about the documents.
Right,
It's about interacting with people,
right.
understanding their needs, and helping them through the process. So what's next? What does a junior passport officer do?
So as a junior passport officer, you're going to have more responsibility and independence.
Okay.
You'll move from assisting to leading on things like issuing passports and travel documents, conducting interviews, doing those background checks, and you might even get to train and mentor entry-level officers.
Oh, wow. So you're not just following procedures anymore. You're starting to lead and shape the process.
Exactly. And you'll encounter more complex situations that require quick thinking, problem solving, and making decisions based on those regulations and protocols you've been learning.
That sounds like a great challenge. So you're getting more experience, mastering those essential skills, and stepping into that mentor role. What's next?
Next up is senior passport officer.
Okay.
This is where you move into more of a supervisory position.
Okay.
You're overseeing things, making sure those records are perfect, and you're handling the more complicated or sensitive cases.
So it's a step up in leadership and decision making.
You got it. At this point, you're not just making sure things are done right, you're also guiding others and keeping those standards high. You're even involved in coming up with and implementing ways to improve the process, making it more efficient and secure. Think of it like you're putting your own mark on the passport issuance system.
Okay, that sounds really fulfilling.
Yeah.
You're shaping how things work, mentoring others, making a real difference. Now, what about the top of the career ladder? What does it take to become a principal passport officer?
Becoming a principal passport officer, that's a great goal.
Yeah.
It's the highest leadership role you can reach in this field.
Okay.
You're running the whole show for your office or region, making sure everything is done by the book, coming up with strategies to improve how things work, and dealing with the most complex cases.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
Yeah.
You're like the ultimate guardian of the passport system.
You could say that. It's tough, but it's also incredibly rewarding. Knowing you're playing a crucial role in keeping international travel safe and secure.
Okay, so we've mapped out the career path, but how do you actually get there? What skills and experience should people focus on to make those jumps from one level to the next?
RoleCatcher's career guide lays out a few key things. First of all, never stop learning. Regulations and security protocols are always changing. You got to stay ahead of the game.
Right, because it's such a crucial aspect of the job.
Exactly. Attend training programs, read industry journals, connect with other professionals, keep learning and growing. And don't forget to showcase what you can do. Create a portfolio of your accomplishments. Highlight successful projects, improvements you made, training materials you've developed. It's like a resume for your skills.
That's a great idea.
Yeah. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Go to conferences, join professional organizations, meet people in the field, build relationships. You never know what opportunities those connections might bring.
It's all about putting yourself out there. Now let's circle back to RoleCatcher's AI. We've talked about how it can help you get ready for interviews, but how can it help you throughout your whole career?
Well, think of RoleCatcher's AI as your personal career advisor.
Okay.
It can look at job descriptions and tell you what skills you need to move up, suggest courses or training to fill those gaps, and even help you create a compelling story about your career that shows off your strengths and achievements.
It's like having a secret weapon to help you plan your career and reach your goals.
Exactly. And remember, it can also analyze your resume and cover letter, give you feedback, and make suggestions to help your application stand out. It's all about helping you reach your full potential.
This has been an awesome deep dive. We've explored the world of passport officers, learned the secrets to acing those interviews, and even mapped out that exciting career path.
And with the right tools, strategies, and mindset, you can turn that dream of becoming a passport officer into a rewarding reality.
So to our listeners, you're now equipped with the knowledge, tools, and inspiration to not only get that passport officer job, but to build a successful and meaningful career in this field. It's a career where you're helping people pursue their travel dreams while keeping our borders safe. It's a job with purpose, challenge, and the satisfaction of knowing you're making a difference.
It's a pretty amazing field.
And I'll go out there and make it happen.